Okay, this is whatever part this is. I'm gonna make like this whole series today, or half of it maybe. But yeah, they would be going to UA. They had the whole. They were guaranteed end since they were the top three. Deku the top. Todoroki, since he lasts longer than Bakugo, would be second. Bakugo would be third. But when did they get there? UA, they're growing to class altogether. Which I'll say Todoroki didn't come into a limo or anything. Todoroki flew. Deku would have ride on his thing across the ground, and Bakugo would be Bakugo's kind of transport. You know what? I'll say he has a rocket launch pad, I'll call it. But what he does here is that he shoots a whole bunch of explosions that turn it almost into plasma, and he would launch himself and send him high in the air, very far away, and he would be above the city, and he would look, and he would shoot himself down where he wants to go, flying, crashing into it. So he would land right in front of UA, while Deku would have pulled up into the class through the window. First there, or I would say they tie, with Bakugo going through one window and Todoroki going through another one, which they'll land, and I'll say they're all tied for second one there since nobody would get there first. I would say that. But yeah, they would land with Momo knowing them from the recommendation, which they would argue who got there first. Or Bakugo would try to argue with them that he got there first. Todoroki and Bakugo would just say, sure, you got here first. And we get sit down. Deku being on behind Bakugo, and Todoroki being next to Deku, sitting down in their seats, talking. Him and Deku, Todoroki and Deku would be talking about how Bakugo's a childish behind him, which would get him mad, and pretty much they would start Bakugo would start arguing with them again. But that's when people would walk in, seeing these three guys that they didn't see at the recommendation arguing. Or one guy trying to argue with Ida coming over there, telling him to stop it. Are you sure you're in the right place? And he would start arguing with Bakugo throwing his feet onto the desk, which that would start another argument. But of course, as I would wake up telling them to shut up, and people would, and all that. But everybody being more afraid of him, the Bakugo and Todoroki and Deku, telling them to go outside, it's a physical, and all that. If they go outside and explain everybody's gonna get expelled, everybody else being afraid except for three, which people would see or nervous, and all that. And they would get outside, and they would get changed, and all that. They would get out, and he would get first place on the board. Who would it be? I have no clue. You know what? I'm gonna do Kirishima so good, and he would be the first one on the practical exam, and all that. So Kirishima come up. Since this court can't help him with throwing the ball, he would do average. On both times, everybody would do the same, but it would come to Deku's turn, which he would just cover with water, and he would spin throwing it, which he would eat it as high as he can, straight up in the air, which would confuse people, and he would have shot it even farther, with him getting infinite, with him shooting it into the sky. which people will be like, what did you just do? He would say that I just used my water to send it into space. So yeah, just how girl with like a zero gravity torque did. That's what the same exact thing I did. Just send it into space. Todoroki would grab the ball, and he would create. He would use a flash fist. That's a move that's similar to Baku's EP shot, but with flames. And he would shoot it really far. I would say 4,000 meters. Baku's turn. He would create an EP shot, and he would have shot it, and it would get the same amount. And all that, it comes to the race. Deku would create his board, and Todoroki would just get ready with his fire and ice to blast off. And Bakugo, I would say, ask Todoroki or Todoroki or Deku to make an ice wall, which they did. Which would confuse people whenever he puts his hands onto it. And all that, and they would launch off with a pile of ice and fire from Todoroki's end. With this a speedy move on Deku's board. And Bakugo shooting off like a rocket. In this type of race, I would say for like a straight run race, Bakugo would win automatically since he is like a rocket. Todoroki would come third and Deku would come second. But since Bakugo can only go in a straight line, whenever he used the rocket move, that's why he got first. And all that. But I would say, whenever it comes to the long race, he would come third this time since he can't rocket around. And all that. And I would say Deku has the most flexibility whenever he rides. And all that. And of course they would be faster since Bakugo can only go in a straight line. And if he launches himself so high and he can only blast to the one direction, he doesn't get first whenever he rockets into the sky, then blasts towards the object. I would say Deku and Todoroki would tie maybe most of the time. But Bakugo tied with him this time. With people asking why didn't he get first last time, with Deku saying that his rocket move only works in a straight line or going straight up and blasting his way towards the object. So that's why he can't win in this race. And all that. But everything would go the same. The strength does. Deku would just use ice to clinch it. And Todoroki would melted it, which would give Deku an idea to. Or Deku would try it, but he can't do it. His Todoroki flames are technically hotter than his boiling water. But yeah. People are confused since they seem to know a lot about each other. And all that. And they would go in. And all that. And that's when the questions asked up, do you know each other? Which they would say yes, of course we do. You could say we grew up together. Me and Bakugo, which it would be Deku, knew each other longer, but we met Todoroki at age 9. And all that. Which they would ask how they meet. And they would say that when we were kids, our quirks were extremely strong and all that. But how strong they were, they harmed our bodies very easily. And if we can't control them, we just harm each other. So we had to get special training by a pro hero and all that. And the pro training, Todoroki has to come in too, since his flames and ice were extremely strong. And unlike his fires, his father's fire, hell flames, he has crimson flames. So his are way stronger. And he burnt himself and froze himself. So yeah, and that's who's the pro hero that trained them. They would give them a hint saying that we'll give you trivia if you can find out who he is. First off, he has a very strong quirk that can cancel other quirks. He's mysterious and he works alone. Which I would say Kirishima would be probably the most known hero. Keep the other person similar to Deku to know more heroes than others. And you would say Eraserhead. And you guys know his real name, which he says, I can't remember it. And they would say Aizawa or homeroom teacher. Which I would say it's already past his time. Which would make people think that they know a person from the school already and they are already trained by a UA teacher. That's kind of unfair. Or it's people that's lucky, most people think are unfair. But yeah. But this would pass and they would have got ready the next day and all that. And All Might would pull up and say, I am here as your combat instructor and all that. But comes in, he explains what's going on, and they would go into the area and change into their suits. Modifications for Bakugo's suit is unlike having those big gauntlets that like limit his movements by how big they were. He has modified gauntlets that twist into a small gauntlet up his arm, which doesn't restrict his movement. It doesn't hold as much of his sweat into it, but it does work better than the big gauntlets that he had, since his explosions are probably the same size as those, maybe even stronger. But these ones are just for just in case. He has a special brace that's equipped to the gauntlets, that the gauntlets would run up to his shoulder, which the gauntlets are very strong and they would help reduce knockback from his explosions and all that. He would have iron cleats on the bottom of his foot, which he created where he can drop down on somebody from an explosion and pretty much crush them. And it also stops his knockback. I would say this does weigh him down more with these, but it has more benefits since his explosions do knock him back a lot. Like, whenever I say a lot, I mean like he can probably go flying with just one big explosion. His gauntlets do not have a clip like a grenade in this one. Instead, he heats it up from his shoulders, which I'll see. He can create explosions in it, which would start popping down the barrel and would hit the big load on his wrist, which would blast it off. And it would shoot explosions. He still has the mask and all that. But I would say he has, something to cuff people with, like a scarf, which he doesn't wear on his neck or anything. He would wear it on his side, so it looks more like a belt than anything, but it falls down him, which Bakugo does use by wrapping people and sending explosions down it. Deku's update. Deku is a water type hero or ice type hero, so his would be different than they were. So he would throw away that whole accessory All Might, keep the mask because I like the mask. I have a scarf like Aizawa, since all three of them were trained to use scarves, but like Aizawa, but they trained their own ways to include their quirks and all that. He would have the scarf. Deku would have a heater pad across his body or one on his chest because his ice does freeze him and he can warm himself up with that and all that. His suit in general, it would be the color blue instead of green, and his hair would be blue in this one just because that would fit. Or blue with snowy white tips. So that's similar to what his suit would look like. It wouldn't be skin tight too, but I would say it would be a little more baggy and all that. Across his arms, which would have bags on it, and on his legs. Just because. And all that. What he will have for his combat is that he would have I would say a taser, just because this taser is, since his quirk is very powerful enough that if he's not careful, he can kill somebody. So he would use this taser if there's a large amount of enemies, and some of them are not as strong as others, and they're very weak. Like if their quirks are not even for combat or protecting themselves, and they just use weapons. He would cover the floor in water and freeze it where he's standing, and he would throw it into the air, hitting the ground, sending a shockwave through it of lightning, or taser and all that. Second off, I would say that he has a spray bottle. Why is a spray bottle? It's a capsule tool too, where if he comes onto somebody, he can spray them with water, and this water would just freeze on them slowly. And if they're wet, he can know where they are. So it's a tracking tool too. Actually, cut that out. That's kind of dumb since he can freeze the whole area like Todoroki. I was gonna make something else out of that, but I just thought that he can do this manually with his water shooting out of him. But the taser and all that, the scarf. What else would Deku have? I don't know. Oh, I have a good idea. I would say he has gasoline on him. I would say you have a pouch of gasoline on him, just because, since he can control it, and he can probably maybe ignite it by having a little. Can electric start fire in gasoline? If it can, I'll take out the matches, but if it can't, then I'll leave the matches in. But yeah, he had gasoline, which it wouldn't just be in the bottle. I would say he would have, what would be the best bet for him? I was gonna say syringes, but I was like, no, that's Toga thing. I would say that he has it inside his mask, maybe. Yeah. He has two little things attached to his mask onto his side, looking like he breathes through it to breathe through poison gas, which he can do that just because. But yeah. Todoroki is still a simple guy, but I would take off that whole ice part off of him and all that. He would have a suit On one arm, he would have a Crimson Phoenix. On the other one, he would have a polar bear on it with ice from it. But yeah, he would have the whole wristband thing. What else? He would have a scarf too across his face and all that, which is like a regular scarf, not like the string scarf that Aizawa has, but it is the string scarf type of thing, but it's thicker and bigger. And yeah, and it actually keeps them warmer. But yeah, you can tell from the scarf on them that they were trained by Aizawa, which All Might thinks in his head. But since he doesn't want them to have a whole blown out battle, he would rig the matches where Deku and none of them go against each other and all that. But yeah. But he'll be Deku and Gravity and Uraraka versus Acid Girl and Ida. And of course Acid Girl and Ida would go down. They would make a plan with Ida watching out and with Acid Girl going after one of them while you can fight the other one. But if the Acid Girl doesn't know is that Deku can control all liquids, so it's a bad match. She would come down swinging some liquid, which Deku would just stop before it hits any of them. Which you think she just splat them with it, since it looks like it just spread apart, but she would see none of them are dropping, with Deku saying that I don't just control water, I can control any liquid. And all that. So your acid I can control. So you can get, I would say would she have immunity to her acid? Maybe just a little, but yeah, I would say she has a complete immunity. But you shoot it back at her, hit you a smash into her, and he would take his scarf, which, you know how Aizawa's scarf looks like he's not even moving it, like it's floating? Well, Deku would do the same thing, but his looks like it's like not even controlled, he's not touching it, which would wrap around him, and he would have not even looked at her, walked by her, and she would be dragged, or would have been floated, captured, and he would be holding her, and she would be considered out since she is captured, and she can't burn through this anyway, since every time she tries to, her acid would be taken over by Deku. Right now, Deku has at least a handful, maybe a little, like a basketball size of acid on him. It would come to Ida, seeing that she's captured, seeing that he controls acid. Of course, Ida would try to kick him, but Deku would have just flicked his thumb, which acid would smash into him. With her acid, I would say she put it at her highest point, since he was extremely strong, and he was already trained by a pro hero. So this is like pure 100% fullest gauge of her acid, like the most acid-like thing. Hit his armor, which would melt pieces of it, and Deku would have just took out his hand, or just point out his hand, which people would see these holes would be hit with ice, and Ida would stop, with Ida being completely frozen. He would wrap him up in his bandages too, and Deku would grab the bomb, and he would have, I would say, he would have just, I would say, he would just cut open the wall with water by shooting it through, which it would fall down, but it wouldn't smash into the ground, it would just stop with water below it, and he would slowly fall down with it. With again pushed back into the wall, and the wall being frozen in. With, if that was a real situation, Deku has said that there was no way to fit that bomb through all that stuff without hitting it. And if it was a real bomb, it would probably blow up. But that's easy to fix anyway, if it's still there, perfectly cut. So yeah, they would not get a good grade since he did not let Uraraka go through. Ida would get 100%, but they would get more points since Deku took it like an actual situation and did not elongate the fights and took them down as quick as he can. So that's how they can get a passing grade. But yeah, this is the end of this part. Goodbye.